Namaste, Jai Hind, and welcome to this edition of The Right Stand. I'm Anand Narasimhan coming to you live from the CNN News 18 and Federal Bank Primetime Studios. And we'll train the spotlight on the cabinet and the portfolio allotments of Modi 3.0. Ladies and gentlemen, largely the top remains the same. The CCS remains the same. The loyalists, the trusted ones, they continue to be retained, and they continue to retain the plum portfolio, starting with the Union Home Minister Amit Shah, who continues yet again. And then we also have the Raksha Mantri, Rajnath Singh, retaining the defense portfolio. So he continues on as Raksha Mantri. And we also have Dr. Subramaniam Jaishankar continuing as the External Affairs Minister. He will be travelling soon with the Prime Minister too. Ashwini Vaishnav, a big leg up. He's got actually three important portfolios in his kitty. Railways, IT he had in the past, but he's also now got INB. So with Anurag Thakur not part of this cabinet, JP Nadda part of it from the Himachal quota, INB goes to Ashwini Vaishnav. So three big portfolios for him. Nirmala Sitharamanji, the finance minister, continues to retain the finance ministry, but she's also now the corporate affairs minister. So she has two portfolios there, finance and corporate affairs with her. Shivraj Singh Chauhan. Now in the past, you had the former agriculture minister was from, Narendra Tomar was from Madhya Pradesh. So Madhya Pradesh retains the agriculture portfolio, but rural development also with Shivraj Singh Chauhan. So the multiple time chief minister who's also retained and who's got the ability to work at the grassroots has a task cut out in terms of the agriculture as agriculture minister and as rural development minister. Jagat Prakash Nadda moves away from, as he completes his term as BJP president by the end of this month. He will now be also the health minister. He was health minister before he went back to work in the party to strengthen the Sangathan. Now he will be health and family welfare, and he also has the chemicals and fertilizers ministry. So what Mansukh Mandviya had is now with Jagat Prakash Nadda or JP Nadda. Dharmendra Pradhan continues to be the education minister. Hardeep Puri, we'll come to that in a bit. Kiran Rijiju, he is the parliamentary affairs minister and also the minister for minority affairs. So two important portfolios for Kiran Rijiju. Now to work with parliament it will not be easy for him. He's got two MOSs who are going to help him. Nitin Gadkari ji, known as the man, the roadways man, the person who's built the connectivity, who's connecting Bharat, continues to retain that portfolio of road transport and highways. That stays on with Mr. Nitin Gadkari. So the work will go on. And that's the delivery that is manifest, ladies and gentlemen. That's why important portfolio. Coals and Mines is G. Kishan Reddy. So G. Kishan Reddy was Minister of Culture Affairs and Tourism in Modi 2.0. Now he is the Coals and Mines Minister. Jayant Chaudhary is the Skill Development and Entrepreneurship Minister. It's an MOS rank that he has. So Jayant Chaudhary is the Skill Development and Entrepreneurship Minister. Chandrasekhar Pemasani is again MOS Rural Development and Communication. So that's with him. He's the MOS. Jitin Prasada is MOS Commerce and Industry and also Information Technology. So he'll be working with two ministers, Piyush Goyal and Ashwini Vaishnav. Jual Oram is the Tribal Affairs Minister. So he gets the independent charge. And Nitin Gadkari. There are others too. There is a huge list. Lalan Singh, the Panchayati Raj and Fisheries Minister, the JDU ally who's now been given these two plum posts, Panchayati Raj and Fisheries. ML Khattar is the Power and Urban and Housing and Urban Affairs Minister. So two important portfolios with ML Khattar, loyalist. Shobha Karandalaje is MOS, MSMEs. So and she will be working very, very closely with the MSME minister. That MSME portfolio also, I'll come to it in just a bit. Shripad Yeso Nayak is the MOS Power. Ashwini Vaishnav, Railways, IB, Information Broadcasting and IT. There are others too. We'll have more. Jitan Ram Manji is the MSME minister. So Narendra Rane was the MSME minister in Modi 2.0. Now it's Jitan Ram Manji. Shobha Karandalaje will be working very closely with him. MOS PMO is Dr. Jitendra Singh, who retains most of the portfolios. Rao Inderjeet Singh is also the MOS with independent charge with key portfolios. So a lot of details. The information has already come through. It's the president has also put it out, and it's also part of the Press Information Bureau or on the PIB website. Bhupendra Yadav continues to be the Environment Minister. Jyotiraditya Scindia is now the Telecom and donor minister. So he's not the civil aviation minister. The civil aviation ministry was with Ashok Gajapati Raju and the TDP in the past. Now it's Ram Mohan Naidu. At 36, he's the youngest ever chief civil aviation minister. So civil aviation ministry goes to the TDP. Jyotiraditya Scindia is telecom and northeast. Gajendra Shekhawat no longer the Jal Shakti minister. C.R. Patil is the Jal Shakti minister. Gajendra Shekhawat is the minister for culture and tourism. Annapurna Devi is the Minister for Women and Child Development. And Hardeep Puri retains the Petroleum Ministry. Oil, petroleum and natural gas is retained by Hardeep Puri. Mansukh Mandavia is the Labour and Employment Minister and the Minister for Youth Affairs and Sports. So again a shift. He was the Health Minister in Modi 2.0. Now he is Minister for Labour and Employment and Minister for Youth Affairs and Sports. Chirag Paswan gets his father's ministry. Food processing industries. So that food processing goes to Chirag Paswan, and C.R. Patil, like I said, is the Minister for Jal Shakti. Let's go across to Shehzad Poonawalla, National Spokesperson of the BJP, Nikul Patel, Leader of the Congress Party, Deepak Reddy, National Spokesperson of the TDP and ex-MLC, and Abbas Haider, Spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party. Namaste and Jai Hind. My first question to Deepak Reddy, are you happy with the allotments and the portfolio allocations, Deepak Reddy, as the TDP?
Very much. A very good evening to everybody. If you see, almost 10 parties of the NDA have been taken into the ministry, and the education qualification also, if you see, there are a lot of ministers. Out of them, 10 new ones have PG, postgraduate degree. 6 to 8 people have law degree. Many of them are graduates. 43 of the ministers have some type of experience working in the government earlier. And 7 women members are taken, 27 OBCs, so caste-wise also 10 SCs, 5 STs, 5 minorities. So if you see, it's like a wonderfully crafted experience. Then the caste dynamics are taken in, then the education is taken in, and even 33 new members have been taken in. And 24 states are represented. So we feel a wonderful job has been done. And from the old cabinet, roughly 34 ministers are again taken back. So I think all the performers are well rewarded. So we're very happy. We're very happy to be part of this government and be part of nation building.
Well, Nikul Patel, the Congress earlier in the day was saying, where are the portfolio allotments? There is fight. There is a lot of, tussle that's happening within the NDA and within the Sarkar. Cabinet meeting is happening without portfolio allocations. So what decisions are being taken? Well, here is the portfolio. Here are the allocations. Your thoughts?
Definitely, I have seen Narendra Modi ji working since he became the Chief Minister of Gujarat. He is with the thought process of that minimum government and maximum governance, and that is what is always reflected when he was the Chief Minister of Gujarat. In 2014, 40 plus. This was Council of Ministers. In 2019, it was 50 plus. Now it is 70 plus, which itself indicates that now it is really not a Modi Sarkar and an NDA government. And definitely Modi ji is going to find it difficult for distribution. And now it is being allotted, not much major surprises that has been seen over here. But he has tried to distribute very evenly. And now let's see how the government works. Our job is to point out the things which government is going to fail to perform its duty in pursuing its activity during the entire next 5 years. And we are ready for it. That is what I want to say. But minimum government and maximum governance, that statement of Honorable Prime Minister is not reflecting today because he is now not in the majority of government.
How do you want to respond to that, Shehzad?
First of all, Anand, let me just summarize what this Modi NDA 3.0 cabinet reflects. It reflects 3 C's. C for continuity, so you continue with those who have been delivering and who have been performing well because they have experience in the ministries. You have C for capability, so you harness merit and talent and experience in those areas where you need to go even faster. and C for clarity, because the Prime Minister has set a very clear roadmap for Viksit Bharat in 2047, and with that clear roadmap you go ahead. But then I have no cure for C for cynicism of the likes of Mr. Patel. And you know, obviously Mr. Patel has been so used to having the cabinet being decided in 10 Janpad or in some other places, maybe even by journalists, but not by somebody who occupies 7 LKM. So therefore I can see the perturbed atmosphere in his entire speech. But having said that, what does minimum government and maximum governance mean? It does not mean that you cannot have the number of ministries or ministers who are allocated as per the constitutional scheme. It means that you make the policies in such a way that the common man benefits. Haven't we improved on the ease of doing business? Haven't we done away with 40,000 compliances? Haven't we done away with 2,000 old archaic laws? Haven't we made it simpler in terms of a single window system? Haven't we come online when it comes to delivery or accessing government departments and government services for which we used to first stand in line? This is making governance, to ensure that government is out of the lives of those people who don't need it, and to ensure there is governance in the lives of those in terms of social welfare and inclusion to the lives of those who really need it, that is the people who are below poverty line. So that kind of difference I don't think Mr. Nikunj Patel will understand. But having said that, now let me come back finally to one point, that look, we have come out with our entire cabinet, but can you tell me that the opposition members who are showing that they are so much in collusion together, they have not been able to decide the LOP till now? Uddhav Thackeray did not even attend the INDI meeting. Hanuman Beniwal was absent. Today we have seen the collapse of this entire alliance of confusion of India Alliance in Delhi, where Delhi they have announced that Aam Aadmi Party and Congress Party won't fight together. So I think that it would be better that the people who are in the India Alliance focus on who will be their LOP. And just one last point, I'm very disturbed. You know, there is a good tradition that whenever a new government comes in place, we at least congratulate, and that Ravadari is maintained. Rahul Gandhi and Priyanka Vadra are so upset that their family held record has been broken by a chai wala, that they have not even taken the time out to wish once on Twitter or on social media that, you know, Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji, you have been sworn in as the Prime Minister again. People have reposed their mandate in you, and we are with you in the opposition to ensure that national interest prevails. Not even that one single message has come from them. It shows the immaturity and the frustration that Rahul Gandhi is facing after not reaching 100 in the last 3 elections.
Nikul Patel, quick response, and then I'll bring in Abbas Haider. Yes, Nikul Patel.
What my friend is telling about everything, you know, that is what you want to reflect, that the Congress is not, means Pradhan Mantri was telling that Congress will not be able to take the position of leader of opposition because they are not going to get less than 40 seats. Now you can see how people had given the mandate, and we are there to stand for the people of the country, and definitely we will find the government not so easy to carry out the activities this time.
You feel that the government will not find it easy to function?
Is that your only ambition?
It looks
Is
that
that
way.
the only
Not
ambition
ambition,
of the
but
opposition,
if you
that they
see-
should stall a government from delivering?
Only target is to disrupt.
That is not the way.
I mean, it's a very irresponsible
and
statement.
we have to see whether the policies which are going to be framed on the floor of the house are not against the people, and we have already supported in the last 10 years whenever it
But
is.
you
with
just
the-
said
of
that
the
your
people.
ambition
That is what
was to
I
make sure
want
the
to convey.
life
You are not
of the
understanding
government
in
is
the
not
correct way.
easy.
That is what I want to tell you. That will not understand, because you always BJP as a government would not like to understand what opposition wants to say, and that is your habit, and that is why you are saying like this.
No, we have spent more time in the opposition, but our ambition was never to make life difficult for the government. It was to further the national interest by ensuring accountability. But your
That is what
national
I am
interest is
telling.
not the
But if
national
it
interest.
is
Your
again,
parivarik
see,
interest
that
is
is
about
what
national interest.
Shehzad, I am telling the same thing, but you didn't want to understand. That is what I am telling. BJP never wants to understand what opposition wants to say,
I
and you
think
just
people
frame
are
it
not
in the way
understanding,
that
hence they are
you
keeping
want
you
to
less than 100
interpret
for the last
it,
three
and you want to
elections.
portray it to the people of the country. That is
Right.
the only difference between your BJP and a Congress.
Okay, so the point is that the accusation from the opposition is that the government of the day is not accommodating. It doesn't listen to everybody, and the entire aspect of working with an alliance and in a coalition is not going to be easy for getting things done for Prime Minister Narendra Modi based on the pace and plans that he had when the BJP in itself had the numbers and majority in the House. That's the point the Congress is making right now. Just a quick update before we go to Abbas Haider, that Subramaniam Jaishankar will take charge at 7:30 a.m. tomorrow morning. Abhishek Jha, who covers foreign affairs for us, foreign Foreign Affairs editor, is just getting us that update, just reading that out quickly. Yes, Abbas Haider, how would you see the portfolio allocation? Has the BJP covered all grounds? There are certain ministers who've been shuffled. Some of them retain their portfolios. Others now will be taking charge of key ministries where there are clear and present challenges. Yes, Abbas Haider.
Well, Anand, I wish them good luck, but practically speaking, it doesn't matter who is given which portfolio, because we have seen how the decisions were being made during the tenure of Mr. Modi in past 10 years, because, the decisions were made at the top and then the ministers were told. In some instances, they were not even taken into conference. They were not even told what has happened during, Balakot and during demonetization, and so many examples. But see, our responsibility is, to work tirelessly to hold the government responsible for their failures. Now, with the style of working that Mr. Modi have, his dictatorial type of working, the way he dictates terms to his ministers, to the government. I think it is very difficult for him to function in a government where the allies do have a stake. Because we have seen even in Gujarat or at the center that Mr. Modi has he has a style of up-down style of leadership, and that does not work for a alliance. And where Mr. Modi has never made consensus on issues. Forget about opposition. There are the common people of the country who are apprehensive, who believe that Mr. Modi won't be able to function in an alliance, in a government which I would say is short of majority in a way, because when Mr. Modi had said that he wants the opposition to sit in the gallery of the parliament, visitors gallery, and he's getting 400 par. So that makes what he feels like, how he believes that the opposition, there shouldn't be any opposition, there shouldn't be any voice of dissent inside the alliance or his party.
Right. Okay. Just to tell our leaders, Abbas Haider and Nikul Patel, that Prime Minister Narendra Modi called up former President Pratibha Patil ji, former Prime Ministers Dr. Manmohan Singh ji and Deve Gowda ji to solicit their blessings as he begins his third term and the NDA gets going. Now, what does that show, Deepak Reddy? Shehzad, coming to you after Deepak Reddy.
Yeah, now I'm like so surprised the way the ecosystem, the NDA ecosystem works. They rarely speak on subjects. They rarely speak on policies which matter. Their only style of functioning is casting aspersions. I think this is not a good idea. The earlier speaker, unwillingly came out, that we have enough numbers now to disrupt. So that is pretty much their mindset. So I feel this is unhealthy, and probably it might be a good idea before each bill is tabled. There should be a session separately with these people, and if their inputs are taken, there might be a little bit less disruption on the floor. This is something which might be a good idea to be considered. All said and done, the focus is clearly on the country. The BJP as well as Chandrababu Naidu ji has made it absolutely clear. The country comes first, the people's interests, and then politics or the party or whatever comes up after that. But this kind of a philosophy clearly lacks in the Congress or the NDA system. Let me tell you one thing for sure. Mark my words. If any party is not in power for 3 terms, a lot of people there will not have the juice or not have the fire to go on. This indie ecosystem is going to fizzle out in the coming days. I can assure you, mark my words.
All right. We'll mark this episode and mark Deepak Reddy's words, but Shehzad Poonawalla. PM has called in Pratibha Patil ji, Dr. Manmohan Singh and Deve Gowda ji sought their blessings. And this is a PM the opposition alleges cannot work with the alliance and cannot work in a coalition.
Anand, since you cover foreign affairs so deeply, you know that this PM can work with Mr. Biden on one side and Putin on the other side. This PM can work with Zelensky on one side and the Eastern camp on the other side. So I think that there is enough people who are the naysayers, and they have been naysayers, Anand, since 2000. They first said 2001 में ये प्रचारक मुख्यमंत्री कैसे बनेगा. देन दे सेड ये मुख्यमंत्री तो बन गया पर ये 12-13 साल कैसे निकालेगा, फिर 13-12 साल निकाल दिए तो ये प्रधानमंत्री दिल्ली में कैसे बनेगा, ये दिल्ली में प्रधानमंत्री बन गया तो ये इंटरनेशनल अफेयर कैसे हैंडल करेगा, अब इंटरनेशनल अफेयर भी हैंडल कर दिया तो ये 10वें साल के बाद एक और टर्म कैसे पाएगा। तो ये नेसेयर्स का तो काम ही है, सिनिसिज्म, प्रोफेशनल सिनिक्स है। बट हैविंग सेड दैट, लेट मी गिव यू अ वेरी इंटरेस्टिंग इंसाइट। आवर NDA 1 government was formed. BJP had majority, but we did not form Bahumati government. We formed a Sarvamat government. We made Harsimrat Kaur Badal minister. You remember NDA 2, we had BJP alone had 303 seats, but we made a Sarvamat government where Ramvilas Paswan ji and others were the ministers as well. And today also NDA 3, we have the Bahumat, but we made a Sarvamat ki sarkar. So therefore, Prime Minister Narendra Modi is adept at ensuring that Sabka Saath and Sabka Vishwas and Sabka Prayas and Sabka advice is also taken. But the problem is that some people are practicing the politics of extreme positions. These are the people who used to support GST, now they have gone against GST. They supported Aadhaar, they have gone against Aadhaar. They are the ones who used to support a lot of initiatives when they were in government. Today they have taken a U-turn conveniently. So therefore I think they are the irresponsible ones, and I only want to ask Akhilesh's party, Mr. Abbas Haider, 2 questions. आप बाकी सब छोड़ दो, हमारा कंसेंसस है नहीं है, वो TDP और हम निपट लेंगे। आपको कांग्रेस ने पूछा LOP से पहले, या आपने भी स्वीकार लिया राहुल गांधी LOP बने? आपसे पूछा तक नहीं मान्यवर। और आप जब सरकार चलाते थे 2012 से 17 में, तो अखिलेश जी वैसे तो कहने को मुख्यमंत्री थे, पर 5 मुख्यमंत्री चलाते थे। ये तो उत्तर प्रदेश जानती थी, इसीलिए आपको कितने वर्षों से वहाँ से बाहर रखा है। तो मुझे लगता है अब्बास हैदर जी, आज सिनिसिज्म छोड़िए और कंस्ट्रक्टिव ऑपोजिशन बनिए। कम से कम कोई तो सी ऐसा अपनाइए जिससे कि जनता भी बोले कि आपने सी फॉर क्रेडिबल काम किया है।
Nikul Patel? Yeah, Abbas Haider and then Nikul. Yes, Abbas Haider.
See, the people's mandate in Uttar Pradesh has shown ki who is going to be at power. Now the thing is, Shehzad ji was talking about the consensus which has been listed by Mr. Modi. Let me tell you, for the past 5 years, there wasn't even a deputy speaker in the Lok Sabha, which used to be from the opposition. The number of ordinance have been increased many times.
Talk about LOP of India.
The number of bills which were sent to scrutiny to quality was just 13%. The number of bill discussion time was average between 4 to 5 minutes. So this is what you has done with the parliamentary system of our country. So
with Rahul
we don't need a
LOP?
lecture from you on the parliamentary functioning of the country.
Don't
which you
take
have
any lectures from me.
Gone
Rahul
against in
LOP.
past 10 years. Now the people, when Mr. Modi is not having a strong government, there is a question among the people of the country which you need to answer, and I think time will tell them that how long you're going to be there at the power.
Right.
That is the biggest.
Are you satisfied with Rahul as LOP? That was the question.
We will decide it. Let the date of parliament session when the.
But they are not
parliament
asking
session
you.
is, we will
Congress has
decide
not
for
asked you.
something.
कांग्रेस सेड हम तय करेंगे, उन्होंने पूछा नहीं आपसे। कल उनकी मीटिंग में उन्होंने तय कर दिया राहुल जी बन जाओ LOP। विवेक तांखा ने बोल दिया, CWC में बोल दिया, आपसे पूछा भी नहीं भाई।
Right.
अरे आई एम वरीड, आप मेरी चिंता करो,
we've got
आप TDP की चिंता करो, मैं आपकी चिंता क्यों ना करूं?
We've got a big development to all our panelists just putting this out. Mohan Bhagwat, Sarsang Chalak of the RSS, has spoken. It's his first reaction on Manipur and beyond. This is what he has said. हम देश में शांति चाहते हैं, समाज में कोई कलह नहीं। मणिपुर अभी भी हिंसा की आग में झुलस रहा है। मणिपुर को प्राथमिकता देकर हिंसा रोकी जाए। ये हमारी संस्कृति नहीं है कि महिलाएं शराब पीकर गाड़ी चलाएं और लोग कार के नीचे आकर मर जाएं। दिस इज अ हिंट एट व्हाट हैपेंड इन नागपुर। संस्कार छोड़ चुके लोगों की देश में अच्छी स्थिति नहीं है। We want peace in the country, no animosity or fight among people. Manipur is still reeling under violence. Manipur should be given priority and violence should be stopped. It is not a part of our culture for women to drink and drive, and people die under the car. And leaving culture and tradition is not a good sign for the country. Now, this is the first reaction on Manipur, and it's come from the RSS chief, Mohan Bhagwat. Again, this is a message that's going back, and perhaps the incumbent Home Minister who continues on has his task cut out, Shehzad.
Look, Anand, you know that over the last 10 years under the government of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, the Northeast, the entire Northeast, which was known for Bandh, blockade and bomb blast, has now seen a trajectory of peace, violence coming down to a great extent. We know that the civilian casualties, the number of infiltrations, the number of attacks that took place over the entire northeast has come down drastically. We have seen a number of peace accords being signed, whether it's the Bodo Accord, whether it's the Bru-Riang Accord, whether it's the Naga Accord, whether it's the Assam-Meghalaya border dispute that has been settled. So 60-70 years of work has been done in the last 10 years. We have seen the manner in which infrastructure has been given a big boost and fillip. 1 lakh crore worth of infrastructure projects, roads, connectivity, airports, etc. For the first time, we have seen train in Manipur, freight train in Manipur. So these kinds of things have also been done. Of course, Manipur, after a court order, did come into an issue of violence, and that situation has also been brought into control by a large extent. For the first time, the Home Minister travelled there and stayed there for 3 days. In the past, when Manipur was burning, we've seen that not even the MOS of Home had given a statement in Parliament.
Correct.
So, while there is
taking
no
nothing away from
no
the
difference
urgency
with
that
what
was shown,
Mr. Mohan Bhagwat ji is saying,
that is the urgency that was shown by Amit Shah and what was done, troop movement, etc. What's happened post the election results in Jiribam is also very, very concerning. This Sar Tan Se Juda syndrome is now manifest in Manipur, where beheadings have happened. And then again the Chief Minister's convoy, security convoy, was attacked earlier in the day today. The Chief Minister N. Biren Singh is scheduled for a visit in Jiribam tomorrow. This kind of violence cannot continue is what Mohan Bhagwat is saying, and that's the expectation from the government. That's the expectation under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, that what happened in the first 1.5 terms of Prime Minister Narendra Modi should continue in the third term also. Another important aspect, and this is where I think it's important, that Dr. Mohan Bhagwat has also opened up on the fake video on reservation. Ye Samvidhan Badal Denge and the fake video that was pushed around, circulated, lies were propagated by misusing technology. That's what he said. During the campaigning, nobody took care to stay away from the propaganda that could increase the conflict between the two groups. Organizations like Sangh were also drawn into this controversy. He said there are two sides in the parliament to bring forth both the aspects of an issue. One side can bring forth one aspect and the other side can bring another aspect. So whatever happens is absolutely right. But he's spoken about this entire aspect of lies being propagated via misuse of technology, fake video, this Samvidhan Badal Denge whole narrative itself was false, and it's lies that were peddled. Nikul Patel.
See, Mohan Bhagwat ji is putting something to the government. That doesn't mean he is opposing the government. He is putting his own views. And similarly, we as an opposition always tries to say that these are our viewpoints. When it was a COVID, Rahul Gandhi ji was the first to tell that the epidemic is going to come and it is on the doorstep of our country. But Pradhan Mantri was busy with Namaste Trump. That is what we want to say.
No, what he said now, is that the opposition should have followed a decorum. While the conduct of elections happened, it was not followed. It is important to follow this morality because our country faces many challenges. He is collectively telling both the government and the opposition that no matter how hard you fight politically, there is a civility and a decorum that needs to be mentioned. There is a maryada, sir, of fighting elections or being in politics. Here, when you have a Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi not even bothering to wish and congratulate the government and wish them all the best as a responsible opposition, then you know that the wedge is driven too deep and it's become personal. So much so that hatred, win at any cost. That is not dharma as far as Hindutva is concerned or Hindustan is concerned.
Very good, sir. I appreciate your thought process, and the same thing can be reciprocated by the government as well as the Bharatiya Janata Party as well as our Honorable Prime Minister too. We are expecting good things and you will be getting good things. But the way we are getting the things from the Prime Minister and BJP, you can see what you reciprocate with. Now, we always respect everyone. The second thing, my friend was telling about stalling the parliament. I have seen that history for the first time where the ruling party had stalled the parliament in Modi 2 government. I was so surprised to see those things. Now they are telling us that we are stalling it, but you are yourself were stalling the government for proceedings in the parliament. Second thing, over here, when we are with the mandate of good number of seats in the parliament, and definitely we will try to bring to the notice to the government by discussion. We have seen so many bills are going to come to the in the past was with a top-down approach. That top-down approach will not be considered more, and the consensus in the democracy has to be taken from all the people, and that is why we expect that this time the discussion on the floor of the house must happen, and the policies which are framed must be in accordance with the discussion. And if any modification and amendments are required before to be passed from the parliament as well as the Rajya Sabha, we feel
No,
that now the
but then, sir,
discussion
ताली एक हाथ से नहीं बचती ना, ताली दो हाथ से बचती है. The opposition
is
will
the
it take
difference what is required
responsibility
now.
that we will not disrupt, we will not be there to try and deliberately try and derail the
This is
functioning
what
of the
is
government to
required from-
ensure there is policy paralysis. We will not go back on what we had endorsed in the past, and just because this government is doing it, get into an ego
We
fight कि
expect
हमें
that-
हम कर नहीं पाए, तुमको करने नहीं देंगे. So the
We
opposition
expect
can it
that
come up and say no,
government-
we will behave before it expects the
expect
government of the
that-
day to behave.
See,
Now,
the
because the
Manipur
message of Mohan Bhagwat is to both sides of the political
Now
spectrum.
I will address this Manipur issue.
Yeah.
In Manipur issue, when we asked in the floor of the parliament, the government was ready for only a short discussion. Then we have to go with the no confidence motion, and then it was the discussion happened in the entire parliament about the point, and Pradhan Mantri had come to the floor of the house at the last. Till 100 days, he was not even ready to speak. He is ready to speak for Ukraine and Russia. He is ready to speak for the fights which are going outside the country.
ये तो
that
हट
is
हो
the
गया ना.
expectation from the opposition.
Was there not an open forum said that we will allocate 3 hours for discussion on Manipur? If that does not suffice, we will extend. But the hut was नहीं पूरा दिन बाकी सब बंद करो यही करो 267 rule 267 पे करो. Now that's
So
adamance.
Mahatma Gandhi is telling
No,
the same
my
thing.
point is,
It's a
sir, if you
critical
want to
issue.
bring the government to account, you need to have parliament function. You have to. The other aspect, Shehzad Punawala, Mohan Bhagwat has also said that the government also needs to behave responsibly. You cannot drive a political wedge when one hates the other and it becomes a matter of personal egos and personal fixing of each other, vendetta. It becomes personal. Political aspects and personal shishtachar and that maryada, I think that's what Sarsang Chalak is talking about. Yes, Shehzad Punawala. This fake news thing, the government could also not counter. And he says decorum was not maintained on both sides. That's what he said. Yeah, go ahead, please.
First of all, let me just put out some facts on the Manipur issue. On Manipur, although when in 93, 97 and other times when the violence took place, not even a statement was laid by the then government, forget any discussion on this issue, but the government was open to discussion. At that time, these people said nothing doing 267 discussion, which should be opened by the government, which there's no provision for. And then they were going to the extreme of not allowing parliament to function, but when Delhi Services Bill came, they all were ready to have discussion on Delhi Services Bill, and Manipur issue was sent back. And then when Prime Minister and Home Minister spoke on the Manipur issue, they went outside Parliament, they boycotted the entire Manipur debate, and they brought no confidence motion in centre, but they have still, the Congress party which has taken Manipur has not got single no confidence motion against the government of Manipur till date. Imagine Manipur Parliament assembly sessions have taken place, but they have never brought the no confidence motion against state government of Manipur, because out there their own MLAs support the Meitei and other MLAs there because of political considerations. So they do not have issue of Manipur in their hearts. Their issue is always how to take Parliament hostage. I'll give you an example of that. They took Parliament hostage on Rafale issue. The Supreme Court came up with Rafale verdict. They still continue to say Rafale. They took Parliament hostage on Pegasus issue. The Supreme Court gave verdict on Pegasus issue. They do not believe it. They took hostage Parliament hostage on many other issues on which Supreme Court has given clarity, but still they take Parliament on hostage. So therefore, this kind of behavior of standing up.
Please complete. Please complete. Another 10 seconds.
And when was the last time you saw? When was the last time you saw members in the Rajya Sabha stand up on the desk of Rajya Sabha, throw papers on the chair, beat up a marshal, and behave in the most unrowdy manner?
Correct. So the opposition does not color itself in glory. Correct. But I am going to quote Mr. Arun Jaitley. The onus of running the house lies on the government. The government has to be able to reach across the alleys and then ensure that there is consensus. There can be a certain level of disruption, but it becomes to a level that it becomes personal and the wedge, then that is also reflective on the government. A lot of things are reflective. What the Sarsang Chalak is also saying, 1 minute, he's saying Manipur. It has been a year since Manipur has been waiting for peace. The state remained peaceful for the last 10 years, but suddenly the gun culture increased again. It is important to resolve the conflict on priority. So this is something, the Sangh when it speaks and when the Sarsang Chalak when he speaks, a lot of times it's reflective of what is echoing in society, what's happening on ground. and it does not reflect well for us as a nation, as Bharat, if there are two groups that are at loggerheads with each other and they believe parading women naked and also beheading people. Either sides, both sides are doing it. So I'm not batting for any one side. Both sides are doing it. It's not healthy, sir, especially when we had 8-9 years of peace. So there are clearly elements who are wanting to disrupt the peace in certain parts of our country. And as the head of internal security, the onus lies on the Home Minister and the government of the day to try and resolve this, nip this in the bud. We don't want such elements.
Let me address both these.
Yeah. Yeah. Then Abbas Haider and Deepak Reddy. Quick response from Shehzad and then Abbas Haider and Deepak Reddy. Yes, please. Yeah. Yes, Shehzad, please.
First of all, the context of the statement of late Arun Jaitley ji was when the Supreme Court had cancelled 122 licenses in the 2G scam. At that time, the government was adamant and was not allowing a discussion. And at that time, when Supreme Court's verdict was also not being obeyed or followed, at that time he made the limited statement that disruption will also become a form of parliamentary tactic if the courts are also ruling on something and you are adamant and you don't want to have discussion. Here, the courts have given a verdict that there is no scam in Rafah. The court has given a verdict that there is nothing wrong in the Pegasus issue. But despite that, you are holding Parliament to hostage, and therefore if you are quoting Arun Jaitley, what did Manmohan Singh ji said? Manmohan Singh ji also said that the onus lies also on the opposition members. So today, where have they dumped Mr. Manmohan Singh's wisdom and points of view?
True.
So that is the full context you should see with. Secondly, Secondly, as far as Manipur is concerned, for 10 years Manipur was by and large peaceful. This was the most peaceful time in Manipur. Then a court verdict came, and that court verdict set off a series of events. After that, the situation has been brought under normalcy or control to a great extent. Of course, more has to be done. But those who are only trying to gain political mileage should answer what has their response been when issues like Manipur took place during their own watch and what they did with the entire Northeast. And today, is their criticism constructive or it is only to fuel the situation more?
Correct. Now, those who want to fan the flames will continue to fan the flames. It's the government's job to control the correct narrative and to call out fake news. If fake videos are something that are going to cost people elections or also trying to create a false perception among the voters, then the government of the day has failed to curtail misinformation and to spread the right information. So there is a reflection that needs to happen with respect to information broadcasting and also conveyance and also performing and putting in place tough rules that are punitive on people who peddle such lies. The courts of the day, and of course you can do that. So policy making is in control of the government, and to ensure internal security, again responsible of the government of the day. There is no doubt about that. Deepak Reddy, the other aspect, the opposition also says, and I've got limited time, so quickly asking you this, that allies are still not fully on board, because this ministry does not actually have the representation from Maharashtra. Eknath Shinde faction not very happy, Shiv Sena. NCP Ajit Pawar also not very happy with what's happening. Now, Abhishek Manu Singhvi and the Congress allege that the JDU and the TDP will also not relent. They are also going to continue to push, and further negotiations are on. So it's all still not very stable. Final word.
Let me be very clear on this. As far as TDP is concerned, we left everything to the Prime Minister. So we respect his decision. As far as these other allies are concerned, there's nothing wrong in asking. And there's still a cushion of another 9 more berths left. So it's like a family. We can negotiate and we can definitely come out with a formula where everybody is happy. Right. But most of this misinformation is being created and prayed for by the India Alliance ecosystem.
Right. Thank you very much. I'm going to ask some of our guests to stay on. The others, thank you for joining us here. I've got to take a very short break. When we come back, ladies and gentlemen, and this is something that rankles. When it comes to Rafah, everybody had their eyes on it. But all those who had their eyes on Rafah, why don't they have their eyes on Riyasi? Does the life of this 2-year-old and other infants like Kittu Sani from Jaipur not matter? Does the life of these innocents not matter? When Islamists and the enemy wage a proxy war on our territory, why is there no anger and ire? Stay with us.
What I'm really finding extremely interesting is that on some of those, Dr. Ranganathan, and let me also bring in R.P. Singh as well as Mr. Chaudhary on this. Dr. Ranganathan, you know, the 3 or 4 key portfolios that require some attention, which is urban affairs and housing. Remember, the PM Awas Yojana, one of the big decisions taken in the cabinet meeting today was to expedite that program. And of course, job creation. So micro and medium enterprises goes to Ram Manji, Manohar Khattar gets the housing portfolio. And of course, dealing with the farmers, all those restful farmers who have shown up periodically from Haryana and Punjab to lay siege to Delhi, that goes to Shivraj Singh Chauhan. How do you see this?
I think we've known for the last 10 years, increasingly so, in fact, in the last 3 or 4 years, that the biggest, most important decisions are taken by Mr. Modi. And then the small micromanagement or machinations are taken over by the Council of Ministers. So, for example, the biggest decision as far as agriculture was concerned were the farm reforms. They were taken by Mr. Modi. I doubt whether those 3 farm reforms in the same form would come again in the tenure of Mr. Chauhan. But I think it is also to be said that because it's got very close to a comfortable majority and it's going to run hopefully a stable government for the next 5 years, the Prime Minister has chosen for, what can you call it, not a shock and awe or not a change, but to remain with the same team that has won him at least this 3rd term.
Well, let me bring in R.P. Singh. R.P. Singh, I think Dr. Ranganathan is right because the Prime Minister was emphasizing the role of the PMO. He spoke to PMO staff and he says, we want to make this a people's PMO. And that underlines the significance. You see, it's at the fulcrum, isn't it, of the government?
Well, 2 parts to this. One is that, yes, is a fulcrum to the functioning of the complete government and ensures that it is grounded and has a hand on the pulse also. But also, let me tell you a very astonishing thing. I mean, you just mark a tweet on to PMO and you get a revert back. This is the first time it's happening in the country. You send a message, you send a social media message, and you get a revert back. I have tried myself and as a citizen, and I got a reply back. So this is the difference now. And then yes, PMO also need to keep a complete view of the complete situation, all ministries put together so that the country moves in the right direction and in the direction which Prime Minister wants it to lead.
Well, Northeast Minister, interesting one, Dr. Ranganathan, Sindhya getting that, and Manipur and certain other areas, sensitive, isn't it, this time?
Yes, and if I may, you have a new information communication minister. I think somebody has to kind of tell Mr. Modi or advise him that there are things that he must do instantly. Like, for example, we've talked about he should have gone to Manipur. Likewise, he should have commented on the
Back on the CNN News 18 Federal Bank Primetime Studios here at on the right stand, ladies and gentlemen. A deadly terror attack took place in Jammu's Riyasi hours before the new government was taking oath. On Sunday night, terrorists struck in Riyasi, far away from the line of control that had been peaceful in the past for nearly 2 decades. We're given to understand these were Pakistanis. There are at least 3 of them who have come in. It's part of a group of Pakistani terrorists who have infiltrated. They actually moved into Samba. From Samba, they've gone to Rajouri, from Rajouri to Riyasi, and now they've gone back to Rajouri, and they're hiding in the jungles in Rajouri. Now, this was staged at a bus carrying pilgrims from Shivkhori in Jammu and Kashmir's Riyasi. It's just about 3-4 kilometers that it embarked on its journey. It was onward to Vaishno Devi. It has also sounded an alarm for the security agencies. The NIA has already taken over the investigation. It's on ground zero, looking at the various possibilities. But we are given to understand that top J&K police sources have said very clearly that there is a Pakistani hand to it. Multiple terror outfits first claimed responsibility, then retracted. Ultimately, it came down to the resistance front. But it's all nothing but, these are all names or assumptions of the Lashkar-e-Taiba. The instructions of Riyasi-like attack had been given recently. Agencies have been working to corroborate this evidence. Tasking was done by the Lashkar commander Sajid Jatt. That's what police sources are telling us here at CNN News 18, courtesy our group editor security Manoj Kumar Gupta. Local Lashkar outfit TRF was tasked with the plot. Agencies probing prior info on the Yatri's travel route. Desperate attempt by terrorists to attack pilgrims, and Shivkhori temple was under the radar of terror groups. Security of the temple has been increased after intel input last month. But the larger question is, ladies and gentlemen, that they've moved towards the areas and the jungles of Rajouri to try and push for a certain level of guerrilla warfare. The other thing is, News 18 India has been reporting that these are Pakistanis. They are not Indian citizens. These are Pakistanis who have infiltrated, batch of about 16 terrorists who have infiltrated, about 3 to 4 of them. The eyewitnesses also confirming this. Shehzad Poonawala, national spokesperson of the BJP, Kuldeep Khoda, former DGP JNK, Umar Talashi, spokesperson Jammu and Kashmir National Congress. We Umesh Talashi in just a bit. Mr. Khoda, namaste and Jai Hind. Shehzad, thank you for staying on with us. Mr. Khoda, my question to you, sir. When they know that this movement is now happening in the Jammu region and they are using the jungles of Rajouri, could more have been done? Because our agencies have to get it right 10 on 10. The terrorists can get it wrong 9 times, but they need to get it right only once, and we lose innocent lives.
Now the terrorists have been using Poonch and Rajouri border for over 2 years for infiltration, and they have been able to attack our security forces and civilians also in several incidents in the past. But because of the heavy density of forest area and the difficult terrain, the security forces, despite bombing operations, have not been able to get in contact with them. But the deployment has been increased in the sector, and I'm sure that the security forces will get at them and neutralize them. But what is worrying is the Pakistan attitude of trying to activate the border, not only in Poonch and Rajouri. The Kathua border is also a target now, as per the intelligence inputs. And it appears that a group or two have already infiltrated from Kathua side also. And they are somewhere in Dudu Basantgarh sector now. Now, the aim of the terrorists is very clear. To target the minorities, especially like in this bus, it was known they were pilgrims. And obviously the initial attack was on the driver and the conductor, so that to make the targets immobile and attack them. The bus fell into gorge, because of which several more deaths took place. The point is that the game is on from the Pakistan side. They are not trying to decrease their efforts in activating the terror network again in Jammu and Kashmir, especially in the Jammu region. So the mother of the source of the terrorism has to be tackled. What has been done on the ground, and terrorism is largely under control in Kashmir. And Jammu being a fresh area where they are trying to make inroads, we have to activate our OGW network to see, we have to target the OGW network and get the information. Moreover, we are trying to depend more as the technology is developing. We are trying to develop more and depend more and more on the technical intelligence. But what is important in this is that human intelligence is also extremely important.
Yeah, the human.
So, human intelligence and technical intelligence is going to give you results. That is what has been a success story of J&K police and the security forces in past several years in Jammu and Kashmir. So I think we need to have a rethink on the entire strategy to deal with the situation. And beyond that, in Kashmir also, we have to target the radicalization and putting a lid on something which is the undercurrents are there. And the elections where the separatists got elected is also not a good sign.
But this extremist getting elected with Rashid Engineer or with Amritpal Singh or even Byan Singh's son, now this is a worrying trend, Shehzad Poonawala. But the other thing is, I want to understand from you, do we do pest control once in 5 years, sir? Or do we wait for pests to get into our house, or we stop them from coming into our house? What should be the position? or we deal with them once they have entered?
Anand, you would be the first.
Ji.
Anand, you would be the first one to acknowledge that post 2014, while I don't want to get into the tactical and strategic issues because that's in the domain of security forces, the template of response to terror has changed drastically under the leadership of Prime Minister Modi. For instance, when 26/11 took place, and you'd remember every second or third week there used to be a terror attack. There was a terror attack in my city of Pune, which was never heard of. There was an attack in Jaipur, Delhi, Bengaluru, Hyderabad. Every possible city was targeted, civilian areas were targeted, and we used to pretty much wring our hands and say nothing can be done. In fact, give most favored nation status to Pakistan, and from that today we are in a situation when Pakistan even tries to do something like a Uri or a Pulwama, then they get a response in surgical strike or a Balakot airstrike. So the template of response, the attitude of our response to terrorism, a zero tolerance for terrorism has taken place, and therefore even particularly after the abrogation of Article 370, whether it's stone pelting or whether it's incidents of terror, they have come down drastically. But of course Pakistan and these agencies of terror are desperate, so they will continue to target sometimes innocent civilians, sometimes security forces. But having said that, you know, the other issue that is of concern is the mainstreaming and legitimization of this entire terrorism narrative. And there is the problem. Today when you took the mic and put it in front of the likes of Farooq Abdullah, not once did they condemn Pakistan unequivocally. In fact, just few days ago, Farooq Abdullah said, in the, you know, it's a very derogatory way of saying it, that Pakistan ne chudiyan nahi pehen rakhi hai. This legitimization of terror, we saw the entire campaign, Anand, you remember, 26/11 mastermind, the Kasab, not mastermind, but one of the operatives, Kasab, was in fact said that he was not responsible. The Congress party came and questioned and gave a clean chit to Pakistan on Poonch and Pulwama. So this legitimization and mainstreaming of the terror narrative is something that we need to look upon very seriously, and why it's being done in the name of vote bank.
We've got Mr. Talashi from Jammu and Kashmir National Conference. Yes, how would you want to respond to that? That mainstreaming and legitimizing of this proxy war and terror on Indian soil, trying to give cover fire to the Pakistanis. It's being done by mainstream political parties in Jammu and Kashmir. How do you want to respond to this allegation?
The statements. Well, I'm quite surprised with the statements of Shehzad Poonawala Sahab, that despite accepting the failures of the government, despite putting the government accountable, they are still targeting the mainstream parties who have not been in power for last over a decade now. So it's quite surprising. They're still questioning them rather than counting it as a failure. Initially, we had seen these incidents happening across Kashmir. Now we have entire Jammu covered by these militant attacks. Every now and then, you say, be it security forces, be it civilians. So the killing spree is in continuity. It's not stopped yet. So rather than questioning, rather than accepting it as a failure of the government, they are still, shifting the blame and, in continuity that everything is hunky-dory in Kashmir, that tourists are coming in, tourists are going out. So rather than accepting it, they should accept it as a failure. They should accept it that BJP has not been able to control the terrorist activities. See, I accept that.
But the mainstream parties, Mr. Talashi, have also been very, very measured in when they have had to take a position against Pakistan and Pak-sponsored terrorism on Jammu and Kashmir, in Jammu and Kashmir. That is something that has not changed. There is still a hesitancy to call it a terror attack.
No, look, I'll tell you.
There is this whole thing about trying to call them gunmen or militants rather than saying they are terrorists and they are unwanted on Indian soil. There is no open, straightforward condemnation.
There
is just condolence. We feel very sad. This should not have happened. But there is no calling out Pakistan and its proxy war.
We are not in power. Look, I'll tell you.
Whether you are in power or not, you have the power of the pen. When you have the power of the pen to put the government on account, you should put the enemy on account too.
I'll answer your question. When we were in power, we first of all, we never claimed that everything is normal in Kashmir. You go back to our statements back then. We never claimed that everything is hunky-dory in Kashmir. Everything is normal. We always said that.
No, but that is again a false narrative. Because the allegation there is you never wanted things to be normal in Jammu and Kashmir.
When you look at the
what I'm saying,
now,
Mr. Talashi, is that even now the National Conference now,
the statements
the
are coming
now,
that we have abrogated Article 370 and everything is hunky-dory.
The issue is not 370 here. The issue is Pakistan. The issue is calling out Pakistan. The issue is calling out Pakistan's proxy war, and that's not yet being done. hold the government of the day to account,
Who is
hold the Home
not?
Ministry to account.
We are there.
But
we are
the
always-
National Conference should be vocal.
Look,
I would
we are
like to
always
see
there. We've always been
the
saying,
National
do what
Conference
you-
leadership openly calling
Look,
for an
I'll
account
tell
of the
you, I'll tell you.
Pakistani bullets
National
that have
Conference
taken
has
the
been
lives of innocent
time
people of
and
Jammu
again-
and Kashmir.
Time and again,
let there
National
be a
Conference-
let there be a statement
look,
there.
Time and again, National
that
Conference
would be
has been
welcome. That
saying
would be
that,
really welcome.
Do what you deem fit.
No.
Look, do
Do-
what you deem fit.
Okay.
Let me tell this government on record. Do
Ah.
what you deem right, but stop these civilian killings.
Okay, do what you
आपको
deem
war
right.
करना war करिए, आपको बात करनी है बात करिए, but let civilians not suffer. Do what
Okay.
you deem
So
right.
biggest statement that's come from the National Conference in the recent times is do what you deem fit. बात करना है बात करिए, लड़ना है लड़िए, खत्म करना खत्म करिए, बस ये जानों का जाना खत्म करिए, बंद करिए. I have to wind up on that note. Shehzad Poonawalla, Mr. Khoda and Mr. Talashi. Thank you very, very much. We're going to wind up this edition of the Right Stand on that note. Brass tacks after a short break. Stay with us.
Co-powered by
Yesterday in Jammu, he still hasn't.
Well, this is important, viewers. Look, Mr. Amit Shah back as Home Affairs, the Minister of Cooperation. So at the interstices really of building and weaving together disparate parts of India. But very importantly, yes, RP Singh, you know, look, I have to say
very
that
small political comment on what has happened in Riyasi is very dreadful. And
no,
then,
I actually, hang on. We have about 2 minutes. Dr. Ranganathan, why don't you hold forth on that point? You wanted to make something on Riyasi very quickly before we move on. Yeah.
No, it's just heartbreaking, Rahul, to be honest. But, you know, Riyasi is not Rafah. And so there will be no eyes on it. Our children are not Gazans, and so their dead cherubic faces will not shake the world's conscience. Terrorism has no religion, and so no one will be blamed. Islamic terrorists fired at the bus. The bus fell into a gorge. The Islamists climbed down and fired at the bus wreck, at the helpless, injured Hindu pilgrims, women and children. Such cold-blooded murder, Rahul, is only possible when it is backed by religious doctrine that demands extermination of non-Muslims. Rahul, when will we understand the machinations of the Universal Brotherhood? These are desperate, dastardly plans hatched by the enemy state of Pakistan and aided and abetted, as some are saying in the police force, by some in India. Or as I've said previously, the snakes and ladders game, where the snakes are provided by Pakistan and ladders by India. But do we expect anything else in a state where the leaders of National Conference and PDP condole the killing of terrorists like Wani? Fact is that after Modi government abrogated Article 370, these terror apologists have been itching to foment trouble, even asking China to intervene. Since the abrogation, there has been an 87% decline in stone pelting incidents, 54% decline in terror incidents, 40% decline in youth joining terror organizations, but 48% increase in ceasefire violations by Pakistan. These guys are desperate. The heartbreaking image of Tutu, a 2-year-old child wrapped in a body bag, will be forgotten soon, Rahul, as was that heartbreaking image of a 3-year-old Sopore boy squatting on his dead grandfather. So I don't know what the solution is, to be honest.
Well, we're all looking for that, viewers. Certainly, let not anyone tell you this kind of hate and bigotry can be tackled by a political package. Let me tell you, viewers, that's not possible. What I'm really finding extremely interesting is that on some of those, Dr. Ranganathan, and let me also bring in RP Singh as well as Mr. Chaudhary on this. Dr. Ranganathan, you know, the 3 or 4 key that require some attention, which is urban affairs and housing. Remember, the PM Awas Yojana, one of the big decisions taken in the cabinet meeting today was to expedite that program. And of course, job creation. So micro and medium enterprises goes to Ram Manji, Manohar Khattar gets the housing portfolio. And of course, dealing with the farmers, all those restful farmers who have shown up periodically from Haryana and Punjab, to lay siege to Delhi, that goes to Shivraj Singh Chauhan. How do you see this?
I think we've known for the last 10 years, increasingly so in fact, in the last 3 or 4 years, that the biggest, most important decisions are taken by Mr. Modi. and then the small micromanagement or machinations are taken over by the Council of Ministers. So, for example, the biggest decision as far as agriculture was concerned were the farm reforms. They were taken by Mr. Modi. I doubt whether those 3 farm reforms in the same form would come again in the tenure of Mr. Chauhan. But I think it is also to be said that because it's got very close to a comfortable majority and it's going to run hopefully a stable government for the next 5 years, the Prime Minister has chosen for, what can you call it, not a shock and awe or not a change, but to remain with the same team that has won him at least this 3rd term.
Well, let me bring in R.P. Singh. R.P. Singh, I think Dr. Ranganathan is right because the Prime Minister was emphasizing the role of the PMO. He spoke to PMO staff and he says, we want to make this a people's PMO. And that underlines the significance. You see, it's at the fulcrum, isn't it, of the government?
Well, 2 parts to this. One is that, yes, is a fulcrum to the functioning of the complete government and ensures that it is grounded and has a hand on the pulse also. But also, let me tell you a very astonishing thing. I mean, you just mark a tweet on to PMO and you get a revert back. This is the first time it's happening in the country. You send a
CNN News 18 and Federal Bank Primetime Studio.
Good evening, hello and welcome to Brass Tacks. I'm Zaka Jacob. We're coming to you live from the CNN News 18 and Federal Bank Primetime Studio. And now we have the full details of the composition, the broad contours of the Modi government 3.0, the cabinet and the entire council of ministers that is now out there in the public domain. Now, while at the top, there is no change in the top 4, that is the top 4 ministers who are all part of the Cabinet Committee on Security, whether it is Rajnath Singh, Amit Shah, Nirmala Sitharaman, Dr. Jaishankar, they retain their jobs in the top 4 ministries. Some notable additions who have got plum portfolios. Shivraj Singh Chauhan has got the meaty portfolio of agriculture and rural development. Manohar Lal Khattar, another former chief minister, he's got the portfolios of power and urban development and housing. Kiran Rijiju has also got a leg up with parliamentary affairs, and of course he's also the Minister for Minority Affairs. As far as the allies are concerned, most of them have landed with plum portfolios, except perhaps the Shiv Sena Shinde faction. But the opposition is saying that, look, all of this is just old wine in an old bottle. Will the Modi 3.0 Council of Ministers be effective in dealing with the pressing challenges of the country, given the mandate that was returned by the people of this country, the message that was there in that mandate, this whole overarching meta theme in this cabinet selection, in this choice of portfolios, has been one of continuity. Will that mean business as usual, or will they heed the message of this mandate?